Hey love, welcome back to the channel, or if this is your first time here, I'm so glad you found this video. Today we're diving into something that catches so many women off guard. When a guy who went silent suddenly pops back into your life. Maybe it's a late night text, a casual, hey, have you been? Or even a bold attempt to slide back into your world like nothing ever happened. And you're left wondering, what do I even say? Should I respond at all? What does he want? You're not alone. And this moment matters more than you think. Because your next move, it can either reclaim your power or reopen a cycle you've already outgrown. That's why in this video, I'm giving you the tools, mindset, and exact words to respond strategically, not emotionally. You'll learn the real reasons why guys go quiet and then come back. Hint, it's often not about missing you the way you think. I'll show you how to decode his message, protect your peace, and respond in a way that keeps your dignity intact, while still leaving him wondering if he even deserves another chance. Whether you want to rekindle things or close the chapter for good, this video will give you clarity, confidence, and calm control. So grab your tea, take a breath, and let's walk through this together. By the end, you'll know exactly how to handle this moment, like the high-value woman you are. Let's get into it. Let's talk about one of the most frustrating and confusing parts of modern dating. When a guy you were connecting with suddenly goes silent. One day he's texting you, showing interest, maybe even making plans. The next, nothing, no explanation, no closure, just silence. And you're left trying to figure out what happened, questioning everything. Did I say something wrong? Did he lose interest? Was it even real? Here's the truth, and I want you to really hear this. His silence says more about him than it ever will about you. There are many reasons a man might go silent, and most of them have nothing to do with your worth. Some men go quiet because they never knew what they wanted in the first place. They enjoy the attention, the chase, or the comfort you provide. But when things start to deepen emotionally, they panic. Vulnerability scares them. They don't know how to process real connection, so instead of communicating like an adult, they disappear. It's not about you, it's about their emotional immaturity. Other times, silence is a test, not intentionally cruel, but subconsciously manipulative. It's a pattern where a man pulls back to see how much power he holds. Will you chase? Will you double text? Will you ask what you did wrong? If you do, he knows he still has access to your energy, and he might pop back in when it suits him. Not because he values you, but because he likes the feeling of being wanted. And then there are men who ghost or pull away because something shiny and new distracted them. Maybe someone else caught their attention. Maybe they're unsure what they want. Or maybe they're emotionally unavailable and didn't know how to tell you. So rather than confront it, they vanish. It's immature, yes, but sadly common. And finally, some men go silent because of internal issues they won't even admit to themselves. Stress, insecurity, fear of commitment, fear of rejection, past trauma. It's easier for them to retreat into silence than open up and face uncomfortable emotions. But none of that is your burden to carry. What matters most is how you respond to the silence. Do you internalize it? Make it about your flaws? Or do you recognize that anyone who can vanish without communication doesn't deserve front row access to your life? Silence is communication. It may not be what you wanted, but it is a message. He chose not to speak, not to explain, not to show up. And sometimes the clearest answer is the one you didn't get in words. So before we even get into how to respond now that he's reached out again, I want you to sit with this truth. His silence wasn't your fault. And whatever his reasons, he revealed something about his capacity for connection, not your value as a woman. Because when someone truly values you, they don't go silent, they show up every time. Now let's unpack what's really going on in his mind when he suddenly reappears. Because trust me, men don't just pop back into your life for no reason. It may feel random, but often his timing is far more calculated than it seems. When a man reappears after silence, ghosting or pulling away, it's usually driven by a mix of curiosity, ego, and emotional inconsistency. He might not have done the inner work to figure out exactly what he wants, but one thing he does know is that he misses the feeling of being wanted. And when that feeling fades, maybe his other options didn't work out, maybe life got quiet, or maybe he's just lonely. Suddenly, he remembers you. Here's what most women don't realize. Sometimes his return has less to do with you and more to do with how you made him feel about himself. Did he feel admired, chased, validated? Did you give him consistent energy without making him earn it? If so, your energy became a source of comfort, and now that it's missing, he feels the absence. So he reaches out, not necessarily because he's ready to commit, but because he craves the emotional boost. Other times, his reappearance is triggered by what I call energetic curiosity. Maybe he saw your Instagram story, maybe you've been quiet too, or maybe you've leveled up in some way. New look, new energy, new vibe. Something about you feels different. And now his ego is wondering, wait, is she over me? That thought alone can be enough to spark a message. It's not always about wanting to rebuild something meaningful. It's often about checking if he still has access to you. Now here's where it gets deeper. Men who are emotionally unavailable often operate on a push-pull cycle. They get close, then pull away. They miss you, then come back, only to pull away again once things feel too real. It's not intentional cruelty. It's emotional confusion. These men are chasing connection and fearing it at the same time. They don't know how to hold space for consistency. So instead they bounce between interest and avoidance. This is why it's so important not to see his message as a sign of clarity. Just because he reached out doesn't mean he's suddenly ready for something serious. In fact, the timing of his return usually says more than the words in his text. Did he reach out after midnight? After weeks of silence? Right after you stopped posting or responding? These patterns reveal intention or lack of it. And sometimes, and I say this with love, men reappear because they sense your energy is shifting. It's like they have a radar for when you're finally moving on. Maybe you've been doing the work. You've stopped obsessing. You've focused on yourself. And just as you begin reclaiming your power, ping, here he is. Coincidence? Rarely. Energetically, people feel when their emotional grip is fading. His reach out is often a subtle attempt to re-anchor himself in your mind, just when you were about to mentally let go. It's a power check, a comfort check, a test to see if he still has you. So now that you understand the psychology of why he's back, you're no longer caught off guard. You can pause, breathe, and respond from a place of clarity, not confusion. Remember, just because he comes back doesn't mean you owe him anything. Your response is not about giving him access. It's about protecting your peace. In the next section, I'll show you exactly what not to do when he finally breaks the silence. Because the moment he reappears, that's your moment to reclaim your power, not fall back into the same cycle. So he reached out. After days, weeks, or even months of silence, your phone lights up with that message. It might be as simple as, hey, how have you been? Or even something bolder like, I miss you. And in that moment, your heart races, your mind spins, and your emotions start rising. Before you act, pause, because this is the most important point in the entire process. How you respond, or don't, right now will determine everything that follows. And sadly, this is where a lot of women make mistakes. They end up regretting. Let's break down exactly what not to do when he reaches out after going silent. First, don't respond immediately. That knee-jerk impulse to answer right away. That's emotional programming, not empowerment. When someone has disappeared on you, they don't get instant access back to your energy. Responding too quickly signals that your standards are flexible, that you've been waiting, and that your self-respect is negotiable. And trust me, he notices, even if it's subconscious. Second, don't lead with emotion. Don't start venting about how hurt you were, how long you waited, or how confused you felt. I know it's tempting. You deserve answers. But the moment you lead with emotion, you shift the power dynamic. He's no longer the one being held accountable. You become the one seeking validation. Instead, stay grounded. Be calm, mysterious even. You owe him nothing emotional until he proves he's emotionally safe. Third, don't assume his message means something serious. A simple hey does not mean I've changed. It doesn't mean I've realized how much I value you. And it definitely doesn't mean I want to start over with intention. A lot of men send these low-effort messages to test the waters, not because they're ready to swim. If you assign too much meaning to his message, you'll overinvest before he's earned that space again. Fourth, don't get nostalgic. Don't start reminiscing or romanticizing what used to be. Silence has a funny way of distorting memory. You start remembering the laughs, the chemistry, the comfort, but forget the confusion, the inconsistency, and the hurt. Nostalgia is not a reason to reopen your heart. Don't let a wave of old feelings convince you to rewrite history. The past is not the whole truth. It's a highlight reel filtered through loneliness. Fifth, don't fall into the prove your worth trap. If you start over-explaining yourself, showing him how much you've grown, or trying to be extra perfect this time around, stop. You don't need to win him back. You are not auditioning. His reappearance is not a compliment. It's a test. And how you respond shows whether your standards have evolved or stayed the same. Finally, don't ignore your intuition. That subtle inner voice that says something feels off. Listen to it. You've grown since he left. You've seen how it feels to prioritize yourself. Don't silence your instincts just because someone decided to circle back. Here's what I want you to remember. His return doesn't mean he's changed. It means he remembered you. And there's a big difference between someone who misses you and someone who values you. Missing you is a feeling. Valuing you is a consistent action over time. So when he finally reaches out, don't do what most women do. Don't react. Don't romanticize. Don't rush to re-engage. Observe. Let his actions, not his words, show you who he really is now. And if he's still inconsistent, unclear, or casual, that's your closure right there. Now that you've taken a breath, observed the situation, and avoided the common traps, let's talk about how to respond, if you choose to. And the key word here is choice. You are under no obligation to respond at all. Silence is a response. In fact, if his message was low effort, vague, or doesn't even acknowledge the gap in communication, your most powerful move might be no response whatsoever. Because when you're truly in your power, you're not reacting to breadcrumbs. You're deciding what's worthy of your energy. Let's say you do want to respond. Maybe you're open to a conversation. Maybe you want closure. Or maybe you just want to remind him that you're no longer the same version of yourself he walked away from. Here's how to do it. With grace, clarity, and undeniable strength. Start by keeping your tone calm, neutral, and a little detached. You're not angry, but you're not overly warm either. He needs to feel that the emotional access he once had to you is no longer guaranteed. A response like, "Hey, wasn't expecting to hear from you, what's up?" sends a clear message. You're curious, not desperate. You're open, but not emotionally invested. The power in this type of reply is that it sets the tone. You're not jumping back into old dynamics. You're assessing, observing, holding your ground. And remember, you're not afraid to be a little mysterious. The less you reveal, the more he leans in. Now, if he does address the silence, maybe he apologizes or offers some half explanation, don't rush to reassure him. You're not here to make him feel better. You're here to evaluate whether his return aligns with your standards. A strong, poised response might sound like, "I appreciate you reaching out. I was surprised by the silence, so I've been focused on myself. What made you reach out now?" That one sentence does three powerful things. It acknowledges the gap, sets a boundary without being dramatic, and puts the ball back in his court. It forces him to show his intentions without you having to guess. If he's serious, he'll step up, he'll clarify, he'll take responsibility. But if he gets defensive, vague, or avoids answering directly, that tells you everything you need to know without you having to say much at all. The most powerful way to respond is from a place of emotional control. That means you're not trying to rekindle the past or chase a fairy tale. You're grounded in the present and paying attention to what his actions say, not just his words. And if you notice inconsistency, a lack of accountability, or signs of manipulation, you let that be the end of the story. No drama, no explanation, just a graceful exit. True poise is knowing that you don't need to raise your voice, over-explain, or prove your value. Your energy, your evolution, and your silence where it's deserved. That's the flex. And let's be clear, powerful doesn't mean cold or rude. It means clear, self-respecting, and emotionally balanced. It means honoring your growth, even if he doesn't understand it, even if he tries to charm his way back in. You're no longer responding from the place that was once waiting on him. You're responding from the place that's already whole, with or without him. So whether you choose to respond or not, make sure it reflects who you are now, not who you were when he left. So you've taken your power back, grounded yourself emotionally, and decided that yes, you're going to respond not because he deserves it, but because you choose to. This part of the video is going to give you exact sample text you can use depending on the vibe, the situation, and what outcome you actually want. And before we get into them, a reminder, your words teach people how to treat you. Every sentence you send is either reinforcing your boundaries or betraying them. So let's craft messages that speak from self-worth, not wounds. Let's start with the neutral but strong response. Perfect if he sent something vague like, hey, or what's up? Hey, surprised to hear from you. Everything good? This keeps your energy calm and unfazed. You're not ignoring him, but you're also not acting excited. You're asking a direct question that invites clarity without giving too much of yourself. Now, if you want to acknowledge the silence without sounding bitter, try this. Wasn't expecting to hear from you again. What made you reach out now? This is powerful because it places the spotlight directly on him. He now has to explain himself, which is exactly what someone who disappeared should be doing. You're not angry, you're just holding him accountable with poise. If you're still unsure about his intentions and want to stay cautious, I've been in a different headspace lately, so I'm just curious, what are you hoping for by reaching out? This text protects your energy by making him define his reasons instead of letting him slip back in on autopilot. It forces him to take a real position, not hide behind a casual message. Now, let's say he apologized or showed signs of self-awareness, and you're open to a conversation, but on your terms. I hear you. That space gave me time to refocus on myself, so I'm taking things slow. What kind of connection are you looking for right now? This is graceful, calm, and still centered on you. It doesn't reopen your heart without some effort on his part, and that's key. He has to show he's not just revisiting comfort, but actually ready for clarity. If you're not open to reconnecting, but you want to end things with class, use this. I appreciate you reaching out, but I've moved forward with my life and I'm in a space that doesn't include revisiting the past. Wishing you all the best. Elegant. Final. No drama. No games. Just boundaries and growth. You said what needed to be said, and you leave the door closed without slamming it. And finally, if you're feeling light, confident, and totally detached, sometimes humor with grace makes the most powerful statement of all. Wow. A message from the past. Hope everything's good on your side. I'm in a very different chapter these days. This is your soft flex. You're acknowledging the history, showing warmth, but still letting him know you've evolved, and his access is not guaranteed. The key in all of these, your tone. You're never pleading, never chasing. You're calm, collected, and most importantly, intentional. Every word you send is a mirror of your growth. So whatever message you choose to send, or even if you choose to send nothing at all, let it reflect one thing, that you know who you are now, that the version of you he left behind has evolved, and that whether he's here or not, you've already come home to yourself. This is the moment of truth, the crossroads that so many women face after he comes back. Do you open the door again, or do you leave it closed for good? Giving someone a second chance can feel like a hopeful gesture, but if it's done without clarity, it can also become a revolving door to disappointment. So how do you really know when it's worth it, and when it's time to walk away for good? Let's start with this. A second chance is not a reset, it's a continuation. Whatever happened before didn't vanish during the silence. The disconnect, the ghosting, the emotional confusion, that's still part of the story. So before you even consider opening the door again, ask yourself, has anything actually changed? Here's when it might make sense to give him a second chance. If he comes back with accountability, not just excuses like I was going through a lot, but actual ownership. I didn't handle things the way I should have, and I'm sorry for the way that impacted you. That's rare. That's rare. Or accountability is the first sign of emotional maturity. Second, look for consistency. A second chance doesn't happen in one conversation. It's proven over time. Is he showing up consistently now? Is he communicating clearly? Or are you still guessing where you stand? A man who's ready for a second chance won't make you chase clarity. He'll offer it willingly. Third, ask yourself, does his energy align with his words? A man who means what he says will back it up with aligned behavior. If he says he wants to rebuild trust, he'll be patient. He'll show up. He'll make effort. If he just wants access to you, validation, attention, or comfort, you'll feel that too. Don't ignore the difference. Now let's flip it. When should you not give him a second chance? First, if his return lacks self-awareness. If he sweeps the past under the rug, pretends nothing happened, or tries to distract you with charm instead of communication, that's a red flag. Avoidance is not change. Immaturity is not romantic. Don't confuse persistence with genuine growth. Second, if your gut tells you something's still off, even if he's saying all the right things, but deep down you feel uneasy, trust that your intuition is wiser than any text message. If something doesn't sit right, there's a reason. Third, if you know deep down that his return triggered old wounds, not healed ones, if being in contact with him makes you anxious, uncertain, or desperate for his approval again, it's not the right time. A second chance should feel grounding, not destabilizing. Also, be honest. Do you want him back, or the idea of him? Sometimes it's not the man we miss. It's the version of ourselves we were trying to become with him. The fantasy, the hope. But real love isn't built on potential. It's built on truth. So ask yourself, do I love who he is now, or who I hoped he would become? And finally, you don't have to hate him to move on. You don't need a dramatic reason to say no. You're allowed to outgrow someone quietly. Sometimes your peace is the only closure you'll ever need. So here's the real question. Not does he deserve a second chance, but does this align with who I'm becoming? If the answer is no, close the door with love and keep walking. If the answer is yes, open it slowly, carefully, and with your standards fully intact. Because love is not just about feelings, it's about who shows up, how they show up, and whether it brings out the best in you or the version you had to shrink to keep them. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this entire conversation, it's this. You were never waiting on his message. You were always waiting on your own healing. Yes, it hurts when someone goes silent. It stings when you give someone access to your heart and they treat it like an afterthought. And it's confusing when they come back as if nothing happened. But the truth is, his silence didn't define your worth. It revealed his limits. And his return doesn't increase your value. It simply shows that he noticed what he lost. You, on the other hand, are not just someone to check in on when he's bored, lonely, or uncertain. You are not a bookmark he can flip back to when the other stories fall apart. You are the main character of your own life, not a plot twist in this entire experience. From the silence to the confusion to the moment he reached out is not about him. It's about what it showed you, how deeply you've grown, how much stronger your boundaries have become, how self-aware you are now. You didn't just survive the silence, you used it, you healed in it. And that is power. And here's what makes you even more powerful. The ability to choose yourself over and over again, even when someone tries to come back. Do not let their reappearance become a reason to abandon the version of you that bloomed in their absence. Self-worth is quiet. It doesn't need to scream, beg, chase, or explain. It knows that someone who truly values you will never make you guess where you stand. And someone who didn't appreciate your presence shouldn't get unlimited access just because they finally noticed your absence. So whether you choose to respond, reconnect, or completely close that chapter, make sure it comes from alignment, not attachment. Let your next move be based on your future, not your feelings. Let it reflect the woman you are becoming, not the girl who was once waiting. Because here's the truth. Your value has never been up for debate. Not when you left, not when you returned, not now. You were worthy then, you're worthy now, and you'll be worthy in every version of your story, with or without his presence. So as we close this video, let this be your reminder. You don't need closure from him to move forward. You don't need his apology to heal. And you certainly don't need his return to prove that you're lovable. You are already whole, already evolving, already walking in your power. Keep rising, keep choosing you. And remember, the right one won't just reach out. He'll show up, stay consistent, and never make you question your worth in the first place.